This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. The Outdoor Journey Show with Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan, brought to you by Journey Hunts and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Welcome to the Outdoor Journey with Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan. Ty, we're going to talk about guiding in the West this morning.
You know, I've been extremely interested in this topic because, I talk to a lot of people and they say they guide people, and it's like, how much fun could that be to be a professional hunter? And be out there all the time. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
And that's really the proper term. In the U.S., we use the terminology guide. A guide is when you're taking somebody to do something, but really a professional hunter, you are taking them out as the professional. You are the one that has the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience, all those things, and you take them out for a hunting experience. And I think Africa has it right when they call them a professional hunter.
Absolutely. And, there is a lot of factors that go into it. It's not just, hey, I'm going to be a guide. I've lived here all my life. There's a lot of things you need to know, from safety and beyond, the area, what you're hunting. I mean, and you've got that expertise because you guys even run schools right now with that.
Yeah, we do. We actually do. And guiding in the West in particular is an interesting area. It's not like guiding in the east of the United States on whitetail hunts, where a guide will take a guy in or a lady in and drop them in a tree stand and you're out. When in the West, you're with that hunter all day. And you definitely have to know what you're doing. Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School is a guide school right here in our backyard. And they definitely train young men, young ladies, not so young sometimes, in the outdoors, and how to become effective professional hunters.
Yeah, well, and that's what's neat about it, is the fact there is something right here. And you guys do. You take them through each step. But the first and most important thing is you got to be in shape. I was looking at that on the notes here, and I would have to agree with you. Some of the terrain that we have here in Colorado and the Rockies, you better be in shape if you're going to be a great professional guide.
Yeah, I have found one of the keys to guiding in any scenario, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world really, is the better shape you're in, the better opportunity you're going to have. That's just a reality. And as a guide, you're the one setting the pace. As a professional hunter, you're the one who sets the bar. And so you could never make an excuse to your hunter who's paid money to hunt with you or with the organization you're representing, and you can't get somewhere because of being out of shape. That's just not a reality for a guide or for
odds
a
of getting a return
hunter.
visit are pretty slim, I bet.
Yeah, they are. They are. So we stress physical conditioning. I mean, we really do. You've got to be in shape. And I know, all summer long, I prepare physically, just like I would in the old days getting ready for football season.
Right.
I'd be preparing. Now I prepare all summer long. And really, it's become more than that. It's become all year long in order to be ready to go into the woods, because I don't want to be a hindrance to the hunters that I'm taking out.
Absolutely. Another big key thing I'm noticing here, too, obviously, knowing the land, that's key. And then knowing how to navigate, use GPS, all of that stuff, big factors.
Yeah, in the West, it's huge because, you go up on the Grand Mesa, you can get lost. And every year, people get lost. Every year, search and rescue comes in.
Hear about it all the time.
And it's serious. You get lost in these woods, and you get lost in the outdoors in Colorado or Wyoming or Nevada or anywhere out here in the West, it can become life-threatening. And so you have to know how to navigate. And, a lot of people think just because you have a GPS in your hands now and you have technology, you're okay. You have to know how to use that technology. You really do. You do.
It may have simplified it, but there's still a technique that you learn. And that's something you guys do teach as part of the class curriculum.
Yeah, we actually teach how to read terrain, and we go all the way back to how to use a compass. We really do, because a compass is not going to run out of batteries.
Right.
It's not going to die. It's going to point north. and you can definitely, if you know how to read a compass, and it's amazing how many people come out to our school that really have no idea how to read a compass, and so we definitely train all the way back to the most basic level.
And for a professional hunter, most of the stuff that you guys do is not weekend hunting per se. You're going in for a week, sometimes longer, and you got to know how to set up camp, how to take them in horseback. There's a lot of techniques going with that.
Yeah, there are. Most of the hunts at a minimum are 5 days, and then you go from there. You can have some real long hunts up to 2 weeks, depending on what we're doing, and a lot of it's backcountry. And so horses, mules, knowing how to deal with horsemanship, knowing how to pack and to load properly, how to get gear in. You have to know all of that. And even now we take a lot of hunters into drop camps. And so we use horses to get all of their gear to get them into camp. And a lot of times that's a do-it-yourself scenario, not a guided scenario, sometimes guided, but you still have to get them there. And that's part of you being the professional.
Well, and their safety is in your hands on any level, whether you're on horseback or wherever you're dropping them. to make sure that they're in a safe environment.
Absolutely. Hear a lot of nightmare stories of people getting hurt because of animals, because of the use of horses and mules. And, a lot of times it comes down to improper knowledge, just not knowing how to handle those animals. And so we spend a lot of time in our courses at COAGs dealing with horsemanship.
Now, the next step, of course, when hunting, being a professional hunter, is to know when your team of hunters come in, to know what kind of weapons they're using, and, of course, the capability of that hunter, what can and how far they can shoot, and kind of understand them so you know where to place them in a better spot.
Yeah, it's discernment. You get in and you start building a relationship the night before the hunt with the guy that you're going to be or the lady that you're going to be guiding, and you start feeling them out. You talk about their weaponry. What are they going to use? You talk about the ranges they're comfortable shooting, 100, 200, 500 yards. You talk about what their equipment is capable of doing. And through conversation, you start to really quickly discern where they're at, what their abilities are, and what they're going to be able to do, which tells you where you need to be taking them, what areas you need to be hunting with them. So you have to definitely know what they're capable of as a hunter, what they're not capable of as a hunter, and what their weapon is capable of doing.
Right.
There's a lot of guns that'll shoot 1,000 yards these days, that you can get all kinds of fancy gadgets and turrets on your scopes, but that doesn't mean you're capable of doing that. So it's a balance.
Now, the next thing, though, I want to talk about, too, is the judging of animals. A lot of these guys and gals, when they come up, they want to trophy hunt. And then there's those ones that are just looking for maybe their first elk or, first whitetail or mule. I know whitetail's not necessarily in this area, but it's that judgment of animals for you guys, and that's something you guys train as part of the class curriculum as well.
Yeah, we do. We call it field judging, and we teach all of our guides our future guides, our future professional hunters, how to judge animals in the field. It's different when they're on the ground. A lot of people talk about ground shrinkage. You shot something you thought was huge, you walk up on that animal, and all of a sudden it's not as big as what you thought. You have to feel out again what your client is there for. Are they there for a trophy animal? Are they there for a Pope and Young animal with a bow or a Boone and Crockett animal with a gun? Is that their limitation? Or are they just there to harvest an animal because they really are seeking to have elk meat in the freezer? And so you've got to know how to judge those animals, because last thing you want to do is have a customer who's come out to you, client who's come out to you and says, my standard for a mule deer, for instance, is Pope and Young. So I want a 145-inch mule deer, which is the Pope and Young standard. And all of a sudden you say, yeah, that's a good animal, and they're pulling the trigger on a 120-inch animal.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, it's always their choice. But we're the expert. Yeah. We're the professional.
Well, they're trusting your judgment as to saying that is the one that's going to maybe get you in the record book. So.
Absolutely.
Shot placement, another key thing, I think, with anything, because the last thing you want to do is get into tracking. If you have to, you do it, but that's important.
It is. And what we do the night before we go out on the first hunt is we'll actually sit down with the hunter with diagrams, with pictures, and show them shot placement. Again, should be basic, but not everybody that comes out and hunts the West has ever hunted elk, has ever hunted mule deer, and you just want to do things a little differently with shot placement. Again, depending on their capability, depending on what they're comfortable with. And so we go over physically showing them where shot placement is and what it looks like.
Well, and I think that's important just by the mere fact if they've never ever hunted that animal, different species have different placements of organs. And so it's key to know all of those important things. Of course, the next step is knowing the behavior, knowing how to calling in and the different species.
And that's where the professional hunter really comes into play. I don't expect somebody who's coming from New Jersey who's never hunted elk before to be an expert elk caller.
Right.
But I expect that we, as professional hunters, are expert callers. Right. And so we need to be able to do the work for them. We are actually hunting that animal alongside of them. And it is a hunt. You're hunting as a guide. And so you're calling that animal in. You're knowing their behavior. You're knowing when to push an animal, when to back off of an animal, when to call, when not to call, and all those factors that come into play. And you also have to know, again, where you're at. That goes back to that land issue. If you're on the side of a huge ravine and that elk's in the bottom of the ravine, and again, if you're not in shape, if you don't know what they're going to do,
it's going to take you a while to get them out.
Yeah, there's some work on the back end. And so you want to be prepared to be able to handle that. And again, you want to know that your hunter's prepared to do that with you. So a lot of factors.
Now, the next one is knowing your hunter's capabilities. And that's more where you can take them. Again, on the side of a mountain with a big ravine,
Yeah,
talk a little bit about that.
Well, their physical presence is important, what they're able to handle. We talked about what their abilities are with their weapon, but also knowing what their ability is. I remember my first hunter ever guiding out here in the West great gentleman. He was 78 years old, and we just couldn't go a lot of places. I mean, he just couldn't do it. And the first morning we're walking him in. I took him on a road, actually, walked in on a dirt road to a blind, very flat. And I'll never forget, we're walking in and he tripped, and I tried to catch him, and he actually fell right on his face. Ooh. And even though we did everything we could to limit this, he fell, he was cut on his face, and I'll never forget the guy looking at me and saying, "I'm still hunting." He's got blood coming out of the corner of his mouth.
I came here to hunt.
And we sat in a blind for 11 hours that day, and he still hunted. But even though you know what his capabilities are, you still, you could still have mishaps in the field. That's also why we need to know safety, first aid, CPR, all those things. And the other thing is, if you have a flatlander coming from Pennsylvania, like where I grew up, you just got to know, what their limitations are, because now all of a sudden it's a little different at 11,000 feet.
Oh, yeah. The breathing alone can change everybody's life. So that's how the Broncos do so well when all these teams come in. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. That's why all the training facilities are in Colorado Springs for all your Olympic sports and other sports. So.
Coming up in a little bit, we are going to award somebody a nice prize for your questions coming in. So we're going to be going into the mailbag here shortly. Again, if you would like to email, you can email Matt at JourneyHunts.com.
This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. The Outdoor Journey Show with Matt Gatus and Ty Morgan, brought to you by Journey Hunts and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Welcome back to the Outdoor Journey Show, where we are talking about guiding in the West, and we've learned a lot of great ways that guides need to be prepared, but there's a special school that is right here in our own backyard. We're actually going to be talking with Jeff Miner. He is the owner of COAGS, which is the
Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School.
Perfect. And you actually work up there as well, so you have a little background up there too. Yeah. We're going to talk about that, but again, we want to encourage you to email, because from time to time, if we use your email, answer your questions here on the show, we're going to be handing out some prizes. We want to encourage that as well. We've got some great gifts from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and I'm sure as we move through the show, there'll be plenty of other great opportunities to give away some cool stuff as well. So the email again?
It's Matt at JourneyHunts.com.
All right. And coming up here in just a moment, we're going to be talking with Jeff Miner and learning a little bit more about the COAGS school.
We've got Jeff Miner on the phone. Jeff is the owner of the Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School, and we've been talking about guiding in the West. Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with COAGS?
Okay, well, I've been with the Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School since 1994. Basically, in its inception, we started the program over just outside of Colorado Springs, and I went over there as a general manager. And the program has developed from basically just a Western big game guide school to what it is today, and we've been in business now almost over 20 years.
What is your current role right now with COAGS?
My current role is the director of education for the school, and which that means that I'm overseeing the education process as well as enrollments, dealing with the Veterans Administration, the State Department, as well as doing some instructing still and some classroom work.
And so your school and COAGS, it's a vocational educational school, and it's all approved by the state. Is that correct?
That's correct. We are approved by the Colorado Department of Higher Education and the Department of Occupational Schools. So we are a licensed vocational school that deals basically in the outdoor recreation industry.
Okay, and with a certification like that, what does that allow us to do as far as, or allow you to do as far as reaching to student bases? And I know there's also some benefits with veterans. What does that do?
Well, it allows us to go ahead and market our school to not only the general public, but of course we are VA, Veteran Administration qualified, which means that our veterans today, with the GI Bill, either the Montgomery or the post 9/11 GI Bill, can go through our program and utilize their education benefit to utilize, our vocational school, unlike where it used to be, where it was only involved with a 4-year degree or a 2-year associate degree. We now have it in the trades as well.
Well, and we know, just because of looking at history and doing some research, I've found some research that says as many as 85% of vets don't use any of their GI Bill. And so this is an opportunity where it's not just a 4-year higher education type of a school, but this is an opportunity for them to get their hands dirty, get in the outdoors, and learn a trade and a vocation that can help them with life.
Well, that's absolutely right. And, we deal with, being outdoors where, some of the soldiers coming back today dealing with, PTSD, some having traumatic brain injuries, other disabilities or other injuries while in combat just don't fit the conventional, university setting where there's 300 students in a room and you're just being lectured to. This gets them outside, hands-on with the horses, hands-on, in the field type of training where they can, be in that outdoor setting in a smaller classroom and get that, I guess, getting back to nature kind of idea, but still have a vocational imprint on themselves, and the industry for outdoor recreation is absolutely huge.
Okay, well, I was telling Ty about some of the courses and the opportunity off air that we are able to offer, that COAGS is able to offer. Tell me about what the courses are that you offer at your school.
Well, the first course, we have 5 basic courses within our program, and now we've added one, which I'll get to at the end. But our basic courses, the first class we have is our basic guide program, which takes care of all basic studies. And then it goes into our Western Big Game program, which is called the Pro Hunting Guide program. So those 2 courses are a 2-week session each. So they start with basic horsemanship, orienteering, map compass, camp setup, wilderness survival, camp cooking, first aid CPR certification in our basic class. Just kind of the overview of what the outdoor industry has. Then we go into our Western Big Game, which is all of the packing, the advanced horsemanship for getting equipment into the backcountry, talking about elk, mule deer, black bear, all of those types of species for Western Big Game. We also touch on Alaska and Canada as well for moose, sheep, and goat, as well as caribou. Then we go into our whitetail program, which is an in-depth whitetail program, but it also deals with turkey, upland game birds, waterfowl, and we touch base on the exotics and hogs for the Texas market right now. So they learn about food plots, they learn scoring, they learn field judging, how to age animals on the hoof, and also age them by once they've made the harvest, how to go ahead and extract that jawbone and actually age that deer 100% to what age classification it's in that program as well.
What additional courses besides that do you offer?
We have an advanced backcountry horsemanship course, which is a lot like our Western Big Game class. The first week of all the packing and horsemanship is exactly the same. And as we get into that second week, when some of the students will go ahead and learn about hunting techniques for elk and mule deer and that kind of thing, the advanced backcountry horsemanship class will be doing round pen work, training, advanced equine medicine, and really learning about the guest ranch type of industry or the stable operation. So it has to do with a lot of the people that really don't want to be in the hunting business, but they really like to be in that equine business, whether it's at a guest ranch or a stable wrangling type of job.
Right. And I know a lot of your guys are really, really excited because I've talked to some of them about your fly fishing course.
Yes. We have a full fly fishing course. It's also a 2-week session. And we start them out, so it doesn't need to be advanced. We start them out at ground floor, and not only how to fly fish, but how to handle that fly fishing client as well. So we teach them, fly tying. We teach them how to handle the client, marketing, fly casting techniques, how to read the water, both small stream, large stream, and also our high mountain lakes up on the Grand Mesa.
And then, Jeff, I know that you introduced a new program that you're really excited about.
We really are. We just introduced our South African pH licensing program, which we're now basically the first U.S. company to offer that pH licensing course and test to our students. And it's going to be kind of set us apart, I think, in the outdoor recreation industry, where students from the U.S. can now get their South African pH license and actually be a licensed pH professional hunter for the country of South Africa. And that's hopefully going to be a real neat and positive thing for not only our veteran students, but for some of the general public that really would like to get into, and see that upper echelon licensing and how that South African program really works.
Well, that's incredible stuff, Jeff. I mean, I've been able to witness firsthand what you do with your school and how it operates, and have really enjoyed that. What opportunity do the students get after completing your course? I mean, what do you do for your students once they've completed any one of these 2-week courses or all of these 2-week courses?
Well, what we do, and of course, Matt, we do not guarantee any job placement like any other vocational school. We can't guarantee that, but what we do, we have a heartfelt obligation, I guess you want to say, that once students go through our program, because it's small, we want to get them that introductory position into the workforce. So we're going out and we're talking to outfitters. We're trying to find opening doors. We have a lot of outfitters that call us directly year in and year out over the past 20 years to utilize our students. So once they complete, we just don't, kick them out the door and say, okay, great, you're done now. We always have the availability. They're always available to call us and see what we have for job opportunities within our database. And we're there to, really guide them along the way and direct them into their first job and on to their career. Hopefully that they're going into down the road, have that vision to really become an entrepreneur and a business owner and get their own operation or in a partnership of some sort in the outdoor recreation industry.
Jeff, that's great information. Jeff Miner with the Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School. Remember, folks, that you can use your post 9/11 GI Bill or your Montgomery GI Bill for this vocational school. Jeff, how do our listeners get in touch